Okay, so today we'll talk about, as I said, import sets, and before that, I'll tell you what update sets are. Okay, so as I said, import sets is like, we use that concept to pull the data from the external applications to your ServiceNow. But before that, okay, sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I'll tell you what import update sets are, right? So like in ServiceNow, whenever you do something like, any configuration or any development, right? So you have to save that work, whatever you have done, to move it to like, a different instance. Like, you do all your development, all your configuration in development region. So let's say this is your development region. So you work on this, like, you create users, you configure forms, you create multiple forms, applications, and everything. So the way you move that whole code into UAT and from UAT to production is using update sets. So code movement, you use for moving the code, you use update sets. I'll tell you how to create an update set. So whatever you do, like there are some exclusions. The work you do, some are not captured, but most of the configuration part is captured. Like data is not captured. Let's say, so I'll just create, and so what update set does is, so it captures all your work, like whatever you do, like configuration or development, writing code or everything. So uh, uh, the whole work is captured in a single update set. So I'll show you. So when you type update sets, so you go to local update sets. So out of the box, you get like a default update set, like a default global update set. So if you don't select any update set, all the work is going to capture here. So whatever we have done from last few days is all captured here. Like, if I change any, if I do any, scripting, so it will save here. So all the work is saved here. If you go into that particular thing, let's just stop. Yeah, so there's all your code. So in an update set, you will have like this is, so default is an update set default. In an update set, you will have all customer updates. So this is one update, this is one update. So this update has a script. So this is saved. So you move this update to a different environment. I'll show you how to move the code to a different environment. So, but this is how an update set. So whatever development work you do, you capture in an update set, and this is how you update. So how to create a new update set? Let's say we'll do some configuration. Okay. So we'll try to save that work in an update set. So I'll go to local update set. There is always a naming convention, like how you want to name it. Basically, what you do is you create a new, click on new update set. If you click on a new update set, so basically how industry standards is like, so you will follow agile methodologies. Anyone know like what agile is? Have you heard of agile or software development life cycle, like sprints, 2-week sprints and all that, Scrum Master? Anyone?
Yeah, just heard, but don't know exactly.
Okay, okay. I'll send you a very nice video which has like 8 minutes. If you watch that, you will completely, most of the companies nowadays, they use agile methodologies, which is like, two-week sprint. So every 2 weeks, you go for a release. So you move it into production every 2 weeks. So that's like depends. So most of the companies does that 2-week sprint. So sprint is nothing but whatever work you do in that. So every sprint has like stories. So I'll send you a link and go through that. So I don't want to, go deep into like, what sprint is and all that SDLC thing. So I'll send you a link. It's a 8-minute video. It's like very clear. Try to follow that so you'll understand. You have to know like, how industry runs, like how they capture their work, like, how they track their work. Basically, it's like, SDLC. Even ServiceNow has. Have you heard of like Jira or what's the other one? SDLC tool, Jira. There's some other tool I forgot.
Yeah, I heard about Jira, like ticketing tool, right?
Jira. It's not ticketing tool. It's like how you track your work. Let's say every work is written in a story. So a story contains like, a task. Let's say you have to create a form, right? So that description, that whole thing is assigned in a story. I'll tell you. I don't want to go deep into that. I don't think this is activated. SDLC, Scrum, SCRUM. No, it's not activated here. But yeah, go through that. Tomorrow we'll discuss about like all that. So basically, in an update set, the industry standard is like you will have a story, STRY, some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then short description. Let's say creating a form, and then your initials. So I'll put my initials as RK. Okay. So this is how you name an update set. So if you name like this, if you're trying to move it into a different instance, by looking at the name, you will understand like, what this update set contains, what type of work it contains. So let's say if someone looks at this update set, they will think that, okay, this story. So they will go into that story. So you'll have the description of that story, which is like, creating a form and what it does. So by looking at this, anyone can understand what type of work is saved in this update set. So I'll create an update set and I'll say submit and make current. So this will be your current update set. Okay. If you want to check in which updates your current update set has been changed to this one, just give me okay. Right. So this update set is become your current update set. If you want to see like, in which update set you are in, so click on this gear. If you go down, so it will tell you which update set you are in. Try to do a refresh. It will, do a refresh and it will restore like which update set. So if you are in here and you don't know which update set you are in, so if I ask you like you're working on something, so which update set you are in, so you can click on this gear. You can come down, you can see, so you are in global application. I'll tell you what it is. But the update set, you are in this update set which we just created. Okay, so that is your current update set. Now you can start working. So keep in mind, like whenever you are trying to configure or doing some work, please check your update set because this will mess up the whole thing. If you save some work in a different update set, so this will cause a lot of code migration. Like when you're migrating your work from dev to UAT, there will be like lot of mess. So try to use the right update set. So creating a form. So when you're trying to create any form, use the particular update set. Like or else whatever story that whatever work that story has, try to do it in this update set. So I've created this update set. So I'll try to create a form. We'll see how it works. Okay. So I'll go to the one which we already created, right? Okay, so this is the form. So what I'll do is I'll try to rename this field. Okay, so I'll go to configure dictionary. I'll go into this particular thing. I'll just rename this saying that company name. So I made a small change. I'll save. Okay. Okay. So now this work has been saved. So we'll check in the update set whether it has been captured or not. I'll just duplicate. So you can go into that update as well. So oh God, this is too slow. Okay, so this is your update set. If you want to go, this is your reference icon. So if you click on that, you'll go into that update set. Okay, so now if you see, you change the field label and the dictionary. So this work has been captured. Now if the same change, if you want to do in UAT, right, so you won't go to this form and you won't change everything. All you do is you move this update set to UAT and production, so the change will happen automatically. So this is how you move your changes, your work and everything to a different update set, different environment. I'll just find out if I have any different environment. I'll try to create a new instance tomorrow. I'll show you how to move this work to a different environment. Okay, so now whatever change you did, so company name, before it was like, you can even go to this and see how it is. So this is the action what you did, insert or update. So we did an update on that. So it will tell you what action you did. So this is insert or update. So we did update, and type, which is field label, that's what we changed, right? We changed from company to company name, and this is another update. So you can click on that. So this is the behind code what it changed. So from company it changed the label. Before it was company, so now it's company name what we changed. You can go into that particular record as well. You can compare to the current, like it will tell you what was previous. I think it will tell you. Yes. No, this is not. It won't tell you. I'll tell you how. But if you see like show related record, right? So it will take you to the field label, company name, and all that. So it will take you to the particular field or whatever if you change. So let's say if I change some script, right? I'll go into this. So basically this is how you capture. So this is like what update set is. So now I change the company name. Let's say if I want to change some script backend, right? So I'll go to client script. Oh, you don't have any scripts in there, right? Let's say I'll just create a new script. Okay, don't worry about this client script. This is much development work. I'll tell you later. So I'll just create an update set, and I'll say type is on dot, so something happened. So I'll submit this. So I've created a new client script. I've created a script so you can write whatever JavaScript you want in there. So I created. Let's see if that is captured or not. You can directly go here. See, client script. So the target name is ABC, which is again insert or update. We did an insert, a new client script, so it will tell you what type. So this is the client script, and this is the thing. You can even go into that client script. You can show related record. See, this is the script where we created client script ABC, and this is the thing what we created. So this is how you capture the work, whatever you do in dev, and you move the whole. So once I'm done with the update set, once I finish all my changes and everything is good, what I'll do is I'll change the state to complete, and then so now this update set. So into a different update set. If you want to go back, you can do local update sets. So where is our update set? So this is the update set what we created, and it's complete. Now we'll move that into a different environment. I don't have a different environment right now, or else I would have shown you like how you can move this update to a different environment so that you will get whatever. So if you have like lot of changes, right? So you develop once in development area and you move the whole thing into UAT. So you don't have to go into UAT and do the same thing again. So you just move this update set. So you'll get all your work into UAT, and that's how you move it into production as well. So from UAT, you move the same update set to production. So you'll get all the changes, all the work what you did. So this is the basic concept of an update set. Anyone has any doubts on this one? Like any questions, anything?
No, for now. Maybe after practice.
Yeah. Try to practice, because this is like very important. This is like first thing. Whenever you go, like when you start work, this is the first thing you create. Let's say someone has given you some task, right? So just ask them, is there any update set created on this task? And if they say like, there is no update set on this one, so you create your own update set and you start working. So this is the first thing you do whenever you start your work. So try to create an update, because if you don't create an update set, right, so whatever you do the changes, it goes into default. Okay, so I'll show that as well. So what I'll do is you can change the update sets from here as well. So what I'll do is, see, if I opened a new one, right, it didn't give me the one which we are right now. So, okay, we close the update set. That's why it changed it to default. So the update set created. Your current update set has been changed to default. The reason is we close this one. Okay, so we'll do another change. Okay, we'll see the default. Okay, so if you don't make any update set, your current update set, so it will go into default. So right now it's catalog transcripts, right? So we will do some small change. It will save. So if you don't assign any update set to whatever you're working, it just goes into default. You can move this a single update into your update set, but that will be a pain. So if you have like 100 to 150, you have to go into every single update, and then you have to change this here. Let's see what we have over here. Okay, so this is how you have to do. So if you have like 100 to 150, right, and you don't know which one is the right one and which one is the wrong one. So best practice and the important thing is whenever you start work, you have to check your update set, because you're working on something, and if you don't capture your work, right, so it will be waste. You have to do all that rework. I mean, it will be saved in the dev environment, but you have to go into each update. Whatever you do, you have to do some changes to get that captured in your update set. So see, if right now I didn't define, when I don't define anything, so the default will be your default update set. So if I do some change, right, so let's say I'll do some more change here. I'll do some change. So it goes into default since I didn't do, so this work didn't capture in any one of your update set. So it captures in the default. So it will be 1796 or something. See, 1796. See, script. This is the one we created. So it goes into default if you don't define any update set. And this is bad. So if you do like, if you forgot to make an update set as your current update set, and if you start working, right, so it will save everything over here, and you have to go into each update, and you have to change over here. So this is like a big process. Actually, it's like very time consuming. So the best thing is whenever you start work, try to create a new update set and make it as your current update set. So whatever you work on, it will capture in your update set. So this is the concept of update set. If you want to know more about it, just try to Google update sets, transferring update sets, getting started, just update set best practices. There are some like, best practices, like how to, use it correctly and in a right way. So viewing changes in an update set and all that. Just go through like, Google update set service now. It will just tell you how to create and, best practices and all that. But this is the basic concept, like, you know. So it will tell you best if follow update source requirements and update set what it is. So tomorrow I'll show you, like, you know, right now I don't have another instance. Instance, like, let's say if this is your dev and if you want to move it into UAT, I'll show you tomorrow like how to do that. That is also like straightforward process. Like you need to do like, you know, 3 to 4 steps to, you know, move this stuff into a different instance. But this is the whole concept of update set. This is like very important. If you mess up this stuff, right? So it's hard to move your code, and your code, your whole UAT will get messed up, and then it's very hard to track back which update set has what type of work. So this is like very, very important whenever you do try to, you know, because in my company, one guy messed up this whole thing, so it took like 15 to 20 days again to do all the rework, and he got fired for this one. So this is like, you know, you have to keep in mind about this update sets. So try to practice. So whenever from tomorrow, like from today, whenever you are doing some work, create your own update set like this and try to capture that in the same one. So you have to get used to creating the update set, checking, you know, whether you are in the right you know, update or not. Okay, so that's update set, and this is another important concept as well, import sets, which I have shown you on that day. Today's back. Where is the import set service now? So if you remember this diagram, so this is your external data source, either through Excel, through a different database. So this is a connectivity to your ServiceNow thing. So there are a couple of ways. So either you can either import a data from a database using JDBC. You can either import a data through Excel and CSV. XML, leave about XML. You won't much import that. But Excel and, you know, these are the two. Forget about HTTP as well. No one uses this one. So the two important thing is like JDBC and Excel. There is another thing called LDAP, but I'll tell you why and when that is used. But right now we'll go with simple thing, which is Excel. You can use JDBC, but right now I don't have a database in my system, or else I would have shown you. For this one, you need all database. You don't have to. Your database administrator will give you all the, you know, all the required credentials, the database URL, and everything. So right now I'll just show you how to import data from an Excel to your ServiceNow. You can choose any tables, but right now, since we are familiar with users, so we'll import some users into our ServiceNow. So what we can do is, okay, if I'm going too fast, you can, you know, just stop me and say, you know, if you don't understand anything at anywhere, just, you know, stop me and you can ask me. I'll explain it again. Okay. So what are we trying to do? Okay, we'll create a Excel. So instead of creating an Excel, I'll take a copy of whatever we have. Okay. So I'll go into users. User ID. User ID is one of 101, 102, 103, 104. So it will give me all this one. So 4, I guess. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll take export of this. So you can. So if you want, you can take an XML of this one. So I don't know whether I told you, but this is how you do. You just right click in this space and then do an export. You take the Excel of this one. Right, so now it's exported. If you click download, you'll get that thing. So this is the Excel. Okay. What I'll do is I'll change the names. So this can be different. So I'll say, I'll tell you why I'm changing this one. So I'll say employee ID. Let's say this is manually how you store your users in any company. I'll say F name, first name, and this will be, let's say L name. Because this top whatever we have, this is ServiceNow standard way of having field or column names. But column names can be anything. So I can say email ID. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So this column name can be like anything. So ServiceNow has like user ID, first name and last name. You can have anything you want. Okay. So now we'll try to import this. Let's say since we already have 104, so I'll say 105, 6, 7, 8. Whatever. Okay. So yeah, I don't worry about the emails. So I'll do a save. Now we have an Excel. So let's say if you right now have only 4, but you can have like 10,000 of this. So and you can have like 50 to 60 columns, right? So now we'll try to import this data 105 to 108 in our sysuser table. Right now we don't have any user. If you see 105, we don't have any user ID called 105 in our user table. So I'll just write the steps. Okay, first you create data source. By name itself you can understand, right? So you have to create a data source. So source is your Excel, data is whatever you have your data. So if you go to data sources, so create a new data source. Let's say I'll say importing. This is also very important. You will do most of the time and show your work. So importing this data. You can give any name. So importing import set table name. So this is basically your temp table. So now what you're doing is you're trying to get the data from that Excel to a temporary table. The reason why you are getting it in a temporary table instead of directly giving a user table, like let's say you don't want to directly import the Excel into your user table, because if the data is corrupted, right, so you can't revert back. So that's why what we do is we first try to get the data into a temporary table, and if the data is good, then we move the data from temporary table to permanent table, which is permanent table is your target table, which is your sysuser table. And one other thing is, one other reason is, so you get your data, and then from temp table you will map. Let's say the reason you map is if this is different, right? So you need to get all these data which has a column name employee ID, but your column name in ServiceNow will be user ID. Column name that will be your user ID. So you have to map. I'll show you like why we use a temporary table. Okay, so basically you have to do mapping, because ServiceNow doesn't know what employee ID is. So you have to tell, so my employee ID in my Excel is your user ID in ServiceNow. So you have to map employee ID to user ID. I'll show you how you have to do the mapping. So this is your temporary table. You can do, you can give any temp table, so it will automatically print your table name as well. So these three are done. So type. So you have like file, JDBC, and LDAP. As I told you on that day, LDAP is like lightweight directory access protocol. So this you use only when you're getting data from Active Directory and some other related Active Directory type. So for now we'll use file. So I'll say file. What type of format we are using? Excel. It's not zipped. So sheet number is, your sheet number is page 1. So you give page 1. So this is header row. So you have a header row which is employee ID, first name and last name. So you have to tell them, you have to tell this that I have a header row which is my first row. So that's what you have, right? So your first row is your header row, and this is your first sheet. So that's why you give sheet number 1 and header row 1, right? So file retrieval method is, so you're doing as an attachment because you have an external file. So now you have to attach this file to your ServiceNow. So you do, that's why you do attachment, and then you attach. This is your attachment. So manage attachment. So now you have to attach your Excel file. I don't know what. Where is that one? Okay, sysuser 2 in downloads. Okay, so this is your table, sysuser 2. So I'm attaching that. Right, so I've attached this one. So now you can see the attachment, whatever you have. This is our table, right? So now when you're done, you can either click submit. I told you, right? If you click submit, your page save. First step is done, which is creating a data source. So now now we have created a data source. You can also refer here. So first what you do is you create your data source. Then you create a transform map. So I'll show you what this is. So first you have to create a data source that we have done. You create a data source. Then you create transform map. After this session, just go through this page as well. Try to read, you can understand. So now, so there's your transform map. This is your transform map. So now you have to create a transform map. So click new. You can do one more thing. So if you want to check whether this data is getting or not, you can just click this link saying test load 20 data. So if you click that, it will load. So say process 4, inserts 4. So how many records we have here? So we have 4 records. So it says processed 4 and inserts 4. You can even see the loaded data. If you click on this one, loaded data, see 106 is Nikhil Reddy, 105, 107, 108. So this is your test table, importing test data. So this is the table which we have created, right? So this is your now your test table. So now you got all the data from the Excel to your temporary table. So where are we? So we created data source. This is how you check. That's why you need a temporary data. So if this is, so let's say if my data is corrupted, right? If my data is corrupted and also you have like employee ID. So you never did mapping saying that, this will be your user ID, right? So that's why you get into a temporary table. So this is your temp table. And moreover, let's say if this data is corrupted and if this data went into your user table, right? So you can't revert it back. Either you have to delete that record or, you have to do some changes. So that's why you always load in a temporary table. So this is like ServiceNow architecture. That's how I didn't do this. So this is how ServiceNow told us how to, load the data. First, get into a temporary table. So now we got the information into a temporary table. Now map this temporary table to your permanent table, target table. So which is our user table. So now we got all the data in our temporary table. Now we'll create a transform map. Right. So or else, I can go into, this is the data source what we created. Okay. So here we can, you can either load all the records, you can test by, loading 20. So since we have 4, we did this one. If you have like, 6,000 to 7,000, don't do all this. Just try to test it by, test 20 data. So now the next step is, as I have shown you, I created data source. Now I'll create transform map. Okay, just click new. So here what you do is, so when you click new, it automatically gave your source table, which this is our temp table as we defined before, right? So this is our temp table. Just name anything. I'll say testing data. Okay. It's active, run some business rules. There are some business rules backend, so it will run that. Copy empty fields. So we don't have any empty fields, so we'll ignore this one. If you have empty fields and if you want that as well, you tick that. Right now we don't have anything. So target table, this is very important. That's why it is required. So source table is our temp table. So now what this transform map will do is, it will copy data from temp table to your permanent table. So what it does is, what this does is, transform map, it will migrate or whatever, migrate or copy, it will migrate data from temp table to permanent table, which is your target table. Right, so here what it does, so here what you do is, you create a data source, for example, from Excel or from, let's say, I have an Oracle database, right? From Oracle database. So here you will just create a data source. Once that is done, you will create a transform map. So here what it will do is, it will from external source to temp table. copy data from external source to temp table. This is what happens in this step. And in transform map, it will copy data from temporary table to permanent table. Okay, so now you have to mention your target table. You can give any table since we are doing like, user information. So we'll give sysuser. These are sysuser table. I'll show you. Okay, so sysuser, this is our table. So now we have given the target table. Try to save it. Okay, now you save the target table. So what you do is, so now if you look at the temp table, okay, you underscore temp table. Okay, so this is your temporary table, or which is whatever you have over here. So you have employee ID, okay, but here you have employee ID in your temp, but on the target table, you will be having, so this is your target table. You have user ID, first name, last name, and email ID. But in temp table, you have, I'll only show 4. I don't want to confuse. Okay. First name, last name, email ID. Okay. So this is your temporary table, which has like employee ID. Now, all this should go into user ID. So the column name is different. So see, you have user ID over here in your target table, and in your temp table you have employee ID. So now, ServiceNow doesn't know like how to map this one. So what you do is, so after creating your transform map, it will give you 2 options. So either auto map matching fields or mapping assist. So we'll click this one. Let's see, I don't know if ServiceNow is smart enough. It will try to map like, your employee ID to user ID. So this is basically you are trying to map your employee ID. Let's see ServiceNow. Now it didn't map anything. Because the reason is your names are different, right? Here your user ID is your employee ID, and here it's different. So it didn't map. It's not that smart enough to map. So what you do is, if the field name is same, like if this is user ID, it would have mapped over here. Like source field will be your user ID, target field be your user ID. Since your source field is employee ID, it didn't map. So what you have to do is you have to go into mapping assist. Now you have to map your employee ID to user ID. So let's say, so this is your temp table. So always your left, so it will also tell you. So this is your source, which is your temp table. Target is your user. So if you go to employee ID, we'll find, okay. Now you have your employee ID. Click on that, say add, and this is your user table. So if you want your employee ID to be your user ID, so search for user ID. It's always alphabetical, so you'll find, okay, so user ID. So now you mapped employee ID to user ID. Now you will map first name. In this one we created F name something, right? So try to look at F name, yeah. So this is your first name. ServiceNow didn't realize that this was your first name, so it didn't map. If the name is same, it would have automatically mapped. Now F name would be your first name. Okay, now you have last name. Add that. This would be your last name. Now you have email ID something. I don't know why you can't move up now. Okay. That's a problem. Okay, so your email ID, your email. Okay, so now you're mapped. So now you are saying like, whatever you have data in your employee ID, which is this one, try to store it in user ID. That's how you're trying to say. Like you're saying, like, your employee ID should be your user ID. Your F name should be your first name, your last name. So whatever data, so all this F name will go into your first name. Whatever L name will go into your last name. Whatever email ID is there, it will sit and it will go into this one. So now you are completed. Try to do a save. So if you do save, now if you see, before this was null, so this all you have mapped over here. Okay. So there's one more thing you can. So I don't know if you guys have known the concept of coalesce. So I'll tell you later what this is. You won't use much, but this is important. This is like, you're trying to make a unique ID. So always your employee ID will be your unique ID. So if there is another update, so it will check with the coalesce. So try to put coalesce is basically you have to define a unique ID. So this will always be the same. Sorry, different. It will be unique. If you have idea about database, so you will be having like what coalesce does. So just ignore this. I'll tell you later, like in depth what this is. So now we mapped. So everything is done. We made even coalesce. So everything is done. Try to do a save. So it will save whatever it is. Now the third step is, so second you created a transform map. So this is the whole thing. What we did is transform map. So you're transforming the data and you're mapping. So this we did mapping. So that's why it's named as transform map. So next thing is to transform. So we have got the schedule imports, this advanced topics and all that. So now you do is, it didn't give you all the thing, but don't worry about this. So what you do is, once you complete your transform map, you do your transform here. Data is stored. So this is equal map data from temp to perm. So data is stored in target table. Okay, so you have to do transform, which is okay. So now we click this one auto map, since it doesn't see even the source. The reason it didn't map is it didn't understand this one. If this is u underscore f name and if this is like f name, it would have mapped. But since the names are different, it didn't map. Now we did this one, it didn't map. So we did the transform assist. Now we'll do transform. So what transform does is it will copy the whole data from your temp table, like your source table, to your target table, which is your permanent table. So this is the transform map you created. So just say transform. So it will give you, it should tell like 4 inserted. It should basically tell how much data is inserted. Okay. So this is like a set, like all the thing, but this is the history, like it will show you all the logs. This is the history, what has happened. But you can, so now the whole transformation is complete. So this is done. So what this step does is it will copy the whole data. Data is stored into the target table. So now let's check whether it's stored or not. So we'll go to user table. That's the target table, right? You see users table. Right. So we'll check for 105. happened? There's something. No, nothing has been inserted. Why? So if you have any errors, you can go into your history and check. So it says total 00, so it didn't insert anything. This is your import set table. Let's see why I didn't put in import. Basically, it should do insert 0, update 0 using import set table. This is your data source. This is your transform map. This is your source table. You have all your data, and this is your temporary table. And try to reprocess. I don't know why it didn't work. Okay, I'll tell you why it didn't work. It didn't work again. No, now it worked. So whenever you have some problems, now you got 105. I'll tell you what happened. Okay, so your user ID 105, 106, 107, 108. See, now you got all your data. So this is how you import your data. So nowhere in any company people would create users, like, create new and everything. So this is how they load the data, either from if they have all those information in an Excel, this is how they load. If they have their users in a different database, so they go, if it's not in a file and if it's in a some other database, right? So they'll create data. So they'll go into data sources. So now we bought it from file, but if it's a different database, so they'll click JDBC. You need MIT server for this. I'll tell you the whole concept of what MIT server is. Don't worry about now. So format is which database you are. So SQL, I don't know why they only have 3. So it's either SQL Server or Oracle or MySQL. Let's say you have Oracle. So don't worry about this, all these credentials. So port is always 1521. So syside is, so you don't have to worry about all this. Your database administrator will give you all this stuff. Username, same again. Your database credentials, it's username, password, it's server, like the server database server name. You have to, it's a query. So let's say you get all the rows from the table, or you can specify a specific statement saying like, you know, if we select from whatever table name, so you can write your SQL statements here, you know, what data you need. Let's say you need only data which, you know, whatever, you can write a SQL statement over there. So it will pull only that kind of data. So this is from a data source. And then you have another data source, which is your LDAP. Don't worry about this LDAP. This is another huge concept. So LDAP is like, you know, you have to give the server name. There's another actually configuration for that. LDAP configuration. So this is how you configure. So this is a whole new concept. So I'll tell you, if you know about, like, you know, the Active Directory, you would understand some of this stuff. But don't worry, I'll tell you what Active Directory is, and you know, you don't have to worry about all this one. So your infrastructure administrator will give you all this, like whoever is maintaining your Active Directory, they will give you all this information. So all you have to do is put those information over here, and you can test the connections. That's it. So if the connection fails, you have to get back to your infrastructure administrator, tell him that, you know, whatever the username and password you have given, it's not working. So you don't have to worry about much. So this is like LDAP integration. But the whole concept is how you load the data into the ServiceNow, which I have shown you is the right way. So try to practice this a number of times, because this is like very important. So the reason why it didn't load for the first time is, so when we created data source, right? I forgot to tell you one step over here. So you created data source, right? Sorry, but you have to load all the records before creating this one. So what it will do is, since I did test, it just, you know, test when you do a test, right? So it will load temporarily, but then again it will delete. That's why I have to do reprocess. So I forgot one step here. So whenever you create this data source, you have to load the data. So what it does is, when you do this, it will load data from your Excel to your temporary table, to this table. So after creating data source, right? After creating data source, you have to load the data from Excel or whatever file type to temp table. So once you load this, you create your transform map, and you know, from there I've shown you like how to do. So did you understand this one? I know I've shown you a lot, but if you practice this one, it's like very easy. It will always tell you what you have to do next. If you create a new, right? So this is your new transform map. It will tell you what you have to do. First, do an auto map. If it doesn't work, try to map as I've shown you, right? If you click mapping assist, it will give you a left hand and right hand. Left hand will be all your source fields, right hand will be your target fields. And then do a transform, so it works. So this is like indexing. I don't know if you know the concept of indexing in database. I don't want to go there. You don't use much of this one. So this will be like, you know, one-time loading of data. So coalesce is, you can give a unique ID as coalesce. That's it. So anyone has like any doubts in this one? Like any questions, anything to ask? Or did you understand?
Yes, actually. So
Yeah.
same thing. Actually, I mean, can you upload this as soon as possible once the class is done?
Yeah, yeah. I think Santosh is recording this one.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I'm also recording. Let's see, is it in recording state? Yeah. So the session is being recorded. So this is recording. So yeah, we'll go through whatever I have shown, right? So what you do first is don't look at this, this recording what it is now. So just randomly go to a data source, right? Randomly go to a data source. Try to work on your own. So if you have any problem, then watch this video, because if you watch this video before, right, so you'll go to the exact point what you have to do. So instead, when you just go to a data source, just look at what you have to do. So there is a new, try to create a new. Don't look at my recording. Just see what it does. I know it will take time to fail, but what it does is you will remember this forever once you do on your own. If you follow this one, right, so what you will do is you will go into recording, you will see, okay, this is the first step, you will pause and you will do that like that. So don't do like that. Keep it for reference, my recording, keep it for reference, but try to do everything on your own. If you stuck somewhere, then look at this one or Google. Try to do on your own. It's a straightforward. I know it will take time. Doesn't matter if it takes like 1 or 2 hours. If it doesn't work, no problem. Try to look at all the different options, so you would know what's happening. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I'll upload this recording. This is like very important concept. This you have to know. Right. So this is like the basic thing, and
How many records can we transfer at a time?
Excel, I think 10,000, I guess. But there is a way you can break the Excel as well. Let's say if you have like 50,000, right? You can break the Excel, but 10,000 is the max, I guess. Yeah. There is a system property, you can change that to 50,000. Okay, let's say. I believe it's 10 maximum costs. So importing, it's easy, So, you have your 50, let's say, you have your 50,000, right? So you can ignore, you can, copy the 10,000 in one Excel, another 10,000 in one Excel. So importing the data is easy. Exporting is tough. Let's say, I'll just go to your user table, okay? So let's say this user table has like, 50,000 records. Even exporting is importing same. So if you have like 100,000 million, like 1 lakh records, right? So if you do export and Excel, it won't give you like, the whole 100,000 at one go. So there is a way you can break this. I'll tell you like, in future you have to do some configuration. There is a way you can break this to like, 1,000 and 1,000. I think 50,000 is the max, I guess. Let's Google. 50, I know 10,000. After 10,000, it won't even give you, because I can show you my instance. I've changed the configuration, so it won't tell you like how much. But okay, let's see something which has like more than 10,000. But 10,000 is the limit. Export limit service now. Exporting the data, export limit. So 10,000 is like what they give, but you can change that property to 50,000 somewhere. Limit. Export, yeah. There you go. Export format processor. So 10,000 is the 10,000 rows you can do with CSV. Even Excel is 10,000 rows. XML is also 10,000. You can do even PDF. I don't know how you can do PDF. I never did PDF, so most of the time you do Excel or CSV. So this is your 10,000. But export, there is a, so yeah, 10,000 is the limit. Export and import. Import it's easy because you will have your Excel, you can break here. But how you will break if you have 50,000 records here? You don't have any breakpoint over here saying that even like that export Excel. You don't have an option saying like get first 100 or first 10,000 or something. So there is a way to do that. I'll tell you how. But the limit is like 10,000, I guess. Yeah. So this is the export limit. Even the import limit is same. If you do more than 10,000, it won't import properly. So that's why the best like industry standard or whatever ServiceNow suggests is don't cross over 10,000 at a single go. There's a way you can even change that limit. There's a system property. Can't remember the system property right now. But yeah, there is a system property where you can change that limit from 10,000. Yeah, so break up the export limits. The ServiceNow default upper limit, the purpose of is to avoid, the purpose of they're putting a limit is to avoid creating performance issues. So it will, if you import 20 to 30,000 at a straight go, or if you export 20 to 30,000 records at a straight go, so there will be some performance issues because you are exporting or importing large amount of data, right? So you'll always have some performance issues. And the table is excessively large. So if you need to export more records than the threshold, so break up export in a separate. So this is how you break up. If you have like 30,000 records over here, if you have 30,000, breaking up large exports. So I'll tell you how to do all this one. Don't worry about it right now. But yeah, 10,000 is the limit. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So this is the system property, I guess. So did I tell you about system properties of ServiceNow? No, right? So if you want to add a property, if you want to change a system property of ServiceNow, I didn't tell you, right? I'll just quickly show you that as well. So all the system properties of ServiceNow stores in a table, which is your system property table. Either you can go to system properties, which is, I never go in this way, so I don't know. This is your UI properties, like user interface properties. There should be some system properties. So I normally don't go in this way. So I remember the table because most of the time you go. So the table name is sys underscore system properties dot list. So it will give you a list of all the properties. So these are all the system properties. So out of the box 97, you can even define that this is all the system properties. You don't have to know. If you want to know about this one, just copy that, Google that, so it will tell you what that property is. Like, maximum size of something, like attachment maximum size. So these are all the system properties. Don't ever try to change the values much, because the reason is they have defined the maximum limit for everything. So if you change that, you will always have some performance issues, because they will always define a maximum, like, like the 10,000 or something. Somewhere it has been defined, like, maximum rows 1,000. So there is somewhere they have defined, like, yeah, this is different, contextual search. This is like a search thing. So they'll define it somewhere. Do not change the values, because the reason they have created is because of the performance issues. So try not to change. You can change few like, background color or something. So these are like, if you know like about what is that, CSC? CCS, CSS, HTML and CSS, right? Yeah. So background color or whatever. If you want to change the background color or, the text size of this one and everything, so you go to UI properties. So there's your, so you'll have all your UI properties. I think someone has changed this one as well, right? So this is once again a system property. Or there is something called company or something. Yeah, my company. Don't worry about much about the system properties. You'll come to know, as you go deep into ServiceNow. So every property, you will know. You don't have to know all the properties. There are some like, background color, light golden, so all this kind of stuff. Number of characters. I think there is also a text size. There is also a date format. So if you see anywhere, right, this is your date format, right? You can even change the date format. So now it shows year, month, and date. You can even do month, date, and year as well. So if you want to change this globally across every service now, right? So this is like how if you change any date, right? So 21 is your date. If you want to change this property, like, it should default in like month, day, and year, or day, month, and year. You can go into your system property. I can't remember the property names because we have like lot. You just Google whatever property you need. Let's say,
I think we can just right click on it and go to system, right click over here and something like design.
no, it will tell you this one. No, I mean like, if someone asks you to, can you change this format? Instead of going through all this one, just try to Google that property. Let's say change date format ServiceNow. Okay, so it will give you some property name somewhere. Change date format property. An administrator can modify the property by navigating to, so it will tell you somewhere exact property name like glide dot date dot something like in this way. If you go into system properties, like this one, so glide dot date dot something, so you have to go into that property, change that format. Yeah, so this is that's what I told, right? So the date format is defined by the property. So this is the property. Okay. So if you see any this kind of stuff, so the first thing you have to go into your system property table. Copy this, go into your system property. Okay. So go into your sys properties, sys properties dot list. Now do a search. Okay, so so this is the value. So this is how you search your system property, right? So now you go into your system property, you change the format. So now it says year, month, and date, right? You can put DD IYYY. Okay. And just do a save. See, when you're doing this kind of stuff, right? Try to capture that in an update set. So the same thing, you don't have to go into your UAT, do all this stuff. So if you capture this update set and if you move into UAT and production, so it will automatically update this property as well. So now I change the property, try to do a save. Let's see, I think this should work. But be very careful when you're trying to change the system properties, because it will change globally, like, all over the service now. So let's say someone wanted only in this application, if you want to change the format of this one, so you have to write some scripts, because if you do like that, it will change globally. It will tell you, the property is set in user session, therefore all logged in users need to log out and then log back to utilize this updated property. If someone is already logged in, right, it won't take effect. So they have to log out and log in to get this property, assigned to them. I think let me do a reload form. It will change, I guess. I don't have to. Yeah, so it changed. Look, before it was like, year and all that. Now it changed. Now I given month, date, and year. So April 12th, 2016. So this is how you change system properties. Try to Google what you want. I think somewhere in Wiki it will tell you the property name like this. Take this property name. Go to your system property table. Okay. So this is your system property table. Go to your system property table. Try to search for the property. Yeah. Try to search like that, whatever property. If you know a little bit, do like, star, glide. You'll have like all glide properties. So this is how you change your system properties. But as I said, be very careful in changing the system properties, because most of the system properties is always global. So application is global, so it will change globally, like, all over ServiceNow. Yeah, so that's it. Any more questions? You guys are good?
No questions. So these all, and
Yeah.
we have doubts, will come.
Oh yeah. Try to practice. I think you'll definitely have some doubts on this one. Yeah. Today what I've told, right? Update sets, try to, whenever you start a work, create a new update set, work on that update set. So whatever you do your work, it will capture the whole thing in an update set. So work on that one. Make it as a practice. Whenever you start work, just check your update set, like, in which update set you are in. Right? Do a refresh. It will take you to the current update set, and then practice this import sets. If you have doubt, what I have told, I'll share this as well. Okay. So tomorrow maybe I'll be telling you about. Oh, this is very important again. Service catalog. If you know this, I think most of the admin part will get completed. Service catalog. This is again one more very, very important thing. Like you will be creating hundreds and hundreds of service catalogs. I'll tell you what that is. It's basically like, your Amazon order page, like how you order your stuff in Amazon. So in the same way, you will create catalogs for that. I'll show you tomorrow, and then workflows are assigned to this. So I'll tell you all this stuff and reports. This you don't have to. This is also an important concept, but it's fairly easy. How to build reports, gauges, and home pages and everything. So I'll try to cover up all these three tomorrow. Okay. Then the next day I'll tell you how to configure email. Like, whenever you save something, if an email should go to a particular user, how you configure that emails and everything, I'll show you also. If that is done, I think most of the admin part will be done.
How many days, like for the training? How many days?
Not sure. I think it will take 15 days. I think in 2 days I'll complete the admin part. So advanced is also the same. So it's just the same topic, but it's kind of more advanced, or going deep, okay. Investigating performance issues. So it's mostly, I don't have to tell much in this one. See, it's all like import sets. going deep into like writing some scripts for this import set and all that. I'll just give you like brief introduction, but this comes as you practice a lot. And then, so this won't take much day. I'll just take another 2 days of, advanced. I'll tell you how to script, how to write some scripts, how to create an ACL. This is also very, very important. ACLs. This is all access control. So I'll tell this. This will take another 2 days. This, I don't have to tell much. I'll tell why we use client scripts and where we use client scripts. I'll tell you about this one, but this is mostly depends on your experience on Java script. So if you are good in JavaScript, this will be like, a cakewalk. That's why I've sent you, JavaScript tutorials. Try to practice that. If you know JavaScript, this like, is very easy. I'll tell you how to use, when to use, at what type of scenarios you have to use. Client script, UI policies, UI scripts, server-side coding. So this is all client. Yeah, here it says right. So this is all like client-side coding. This is all your server-side coding. Till here. Schedule jobs, ultras. Script include is nothing but your, your generic class files. Like in Java, you have like, generic class files. So this is I'll tell you email actions, inbound email. So this takes another 4 to 5 days. 10 days so for this, you should know basic Java and JavaScript knowledge to know, to work on this one. You have to know some JavaScript. It's easy. It's not that, you have to have like, very advanced JavaScripting, but basics. Create functions and how you call functions from different functions. So it's like, mostly mid-level JavaScripting. You have to know like, get element by ID, how you get element by ID, how you work with your document and all that. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe mostly 10 days from now.
Okay.
Today is 12th. If you leave 1 or 2 days in between, mostly, I'll complete by April last week. So once you're done with your admin, I think you can start marketing. So
Okay.
yeah, you can start marketing once you, I'll tell you like, when to start your marketing, because from tomorrow, I want this discussion to be more interactive. It's not like, me talking and you guys listening. So I'll ask, a couple of stuff like, what did you understand about this one, how to do this one, because it should be like more interactive, right? I don't want, me talking and you guys just listening and, So from tomorrow, not now, but after 2 or 3 days, it will be like more interactive. So I'll ask you, how to create a role, or I'll ask you, can you create this task, or I'll give you a few tasks, like, try to complete this one. Because if you try to do some task and if you work on something, right, you'll get lots of doubts. So, and then you can know much about how to work on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then, yeah, try to practice whatever I've told you, import sets and everything. I'll try to upload this in YouTube. I think Santosh has this one as well. If I don't upload, if I forget, yeah, try to share it to others.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay then. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.